How often do you find yourself worried about the future? Just scared about what it may be bringing, about the end of what's going to happen? Today I'm talking about anxiety. Welcome to Master Your Mindset, Master Your Life. This is a podcast that empowers you to take back control of your life, to get from stuck to unstoppable, and to start unlocking your full potential. I'm Sanjay, and today we're diving into a topic that affects many of us, and that is anxiety. And I'm going to be giving you one tip which can help you deal with it in a phenomenal way. So let's start with the basics. What is anxiety? Anxiety is that feeling we get. It's a natural human emotion, and it's characterized by feelings of worry, fear, or just unease. And depending on the person, these can just be small little feelings within the body, or they could be full-on panic attacks. It's like that fluttery sensation in your stomach before a big presentation or interview. Or it could be that overwhelming feeling when you need a paper bag to breathe into just to get over it. However, when anxiety becomes chronic or overwhelming, it actually can affect our mental and physical well-being. Myself, I've noticed most of my anxiety is actually a lot to do with my kids when they're running around and playing on things. I find that I'm just a bit anxious in case they fall and hurt themselves. I'm not going to get in the way because I believe that we need to let them grow, and I believe that they need to figure things out on their own. But it doesn't stop me feeling a bit anxious, like when my son's climbing on the climbing frame and he's going higher than he has before, or when my daughter's going really high on the swing. It isn't a bad thing, but that's just sometimes how I feel. I just get a bit anxious about it. But again, as I said, I'm not going to stop it because I know that this is how they learn, this is how they grow, this is how they experience things. There's loads of reasons why we experience anxiety. And the first thing is it's a biological response to stress. It's our bodies releasing hormones such as cortisol, the stress hormone, which helps prepare us to deal with perceived threats. And this has symptoms such as an increased heart rate, shallow breathing, maybe sweats. But actually, in today's world, when we're feeling anxious about things, when we feel this perceived threat, it's not actually a perceived threat. It's actually just something that we're catastrophizing about. It's something that we're turning a mountain into a molehill, and we're making it 100 times worse by the way we're thinking and the scenarios we're coming up with in our mind. The second one is uncertainty. Life is filled with uncertainty, and just the unknown can trigger that anxiety, because it's like standing at a crossroad without a map. You're not sure what path to take. And again, then it goes down to your mind playing tricks on you, telling you if you go down, say, the left path, this bad thing is going to happen to you. Or if you go down the right path, the other bad thing is going to happen to you. So when you start doing that, you then become stuck in the middle. You're uncertain which one to choose, because in your mind, both of these paths lead to negative consequences. The third reason is because of past traumas. When you've had a past traumatic experience, it can leave emotional scars that trigger your anxiety in similar situations. A good example is someone who's been in a car crash. They may have a fear of getting into a car because they don't want to experience that again, because when they get in the car, they feel the same way they felt when they had the accident. They actually relive it every time they get in the car. So it's like a ghost from the past, which is haunting our present. And anxiety, it can affect our minds and it can affect our bodies in various ways depending on who you are. And things like this, it can lead to just disturbed sleep, difficulty concentrating, and even more physical health issues. It's like constant buzzing in the background that never quite goes away. Imagine that mosquito in your ear just buzzing constantly. But there is one way in which we can deal with this, which I found was phenomenal for some of the guys I've helped. They found it so useful and it made such a remarkable difference that they continue to use it to this day because they've got so comfortable with it. And that is when we name our anxiety. So when we put a name to our anxiety, something phenomenal happens in our mind. It's like shedding light on the shadows of our fears. And so when I say naming it, it means giving it a name. Some people give it a persona, like, oh yeah, some people will name it as like Dave. Someone will name it as, say, John, or whatever you want to name it. Others would do something a bit more of a shed a funny light on it, like a worry Wilma or a worry Walter. And when you do this, it helps deal with it better. And the first reason why is because it actually increases your awareness of that feeling. When you give your anxiety a name, it increases your awareness of it. It actually means you start to recognize its patterns and its triggers. And then when you start to do that, when you start to notice when this worry Wilma turns up, you're going to start to recognize, actually, this is a situation I was in, this is what triggered me, and this is something that happens often. And so you can address it more effectively, more efficiently. You can also, it means you can create emotional distance by naming it. It creates emotional distance by, instead of saying I'm anxious, you say, Dave over there, he's just coming in and he's talking all that anxiousness in my ear. When you separate yourself from that feeling, it helps you observe your anxiety rather than be consumed by it. You are no longer identifying yourself as anxious. You are actually saying, oh yeah, this is anxious instead. Something outside of you is anxious. And when you can do that, you find it easier to actually ignore it. Next, it helps you clarify the problem, because when you start to identify specific anxieties, it means that you can actually break down what they are into more manageable pieces. And when you're doing that, it actually helps you control yourself and it makes it feel less overwhelming, because you are taking the right steps, because you know at each moment what you're going to be feeling like, what has triggered you, and what the specific steps are. And so you can actually break them down and deal with them one by one. And the fourth one is, it helps you enhance your communication. When you name it, it becomes easier to communicate with others about what you're experiencing, because you've detached yourself from it, because you're not feeling that you are anxious, but it's someone else who's making you anxious. It's like sharing a common language, because then you're separate from it. So it helps reduce your feelings of isolation. Yeah. So as you go about your day, just remember that it's okay to name your anxiety, to shine a light on those shadows. And it is a powerful step towards you managing it and eventually overcoming it. So naming your anxiety isn't about giving it a cute nickname. It's about taking control. It's about understanding. It's about acknowledging and then addressing the challenges that your anxiety presents. Embrace your emotions and continue your journey to a more fulfilling life. Yeah, I hope you learned something, how such a simple thing such as naming your anxiety can be a game changer on your life, to fill it with productivity, to fill it with happiness, success, and just great relationships. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode and got something from it, let me know by leaving a comment below. My mission is to make a positive impact on the world, and I sincerely hope you can help me do that by liking, following, sharing, and subscribing to this podcast. Remember, your mindset shapes your reality. Master it, and you'll master your life. Thanks.